Hello ladies and gentlemen, GGG just released the 0.5.4 patch and Expedition has been buffed with a new Atlas tree as well as some other changes, and let me tell you, farming it has been amazing since the patch. I've been farming it for about 6 to 7 hours now with a complete budget setup, no Aldur saga needed, and these are all loot clips from that time after the patch. As always, like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and let's hop into how to farm it. Now, the reason why this farm is so great after the patch notes is from this one little change. So this is the 0.5.4 patch notes. I'll leave it in the description if you're unfamiliar with how to find this. But it says right here, the chance for runic monsters from Expedition and Grand Expeditions to be rare now correctly scales with increases to monster rarity and rare chance. So that means if you buff rare monsters and monster rarity on your tablets, you will get more rare monsters from your Verisium remnants, which in turn leads to more loot, and we're going to be buffing the shit out of their modifiers, so they're going to have a ton of modifiers, giving us tons and tons of juicy loot. You're basically guaranteed a minimum of 1 divine whenever you complete a Grand Expedition with this setup. So let's start with the loot. This is all of the high valuable currency loot that I got from about 12 to 14 Grand Expeditions. It took me about 6 logbooks and a total of 30 maps, and this is only the loot from those Grand Expeditions. No divines or anything like that were included from travel maps, just the Grand Expeditions. We can see I got 2 perfected exalts, 2 perfect chaos, 9 annuls, 53 divines, a lot of chaos, a lot of exalts, 1 Aldur saga, which is great and kind of lucky, so you can exclude it if you want. And then I got 1 Visions of Paradise, a level 20 skill gem, and these are, worth about a divine each as well, but they're still pretty good. If I pull up my spreadsheet here, we can see that I have everything input into this spreadsheet. So I got 53 divines, 2 perfected exalts, and then I have all of their values in divines. So you can pause the video and look at these if you would like. I'll delete the Aldur saga just as an example once I show everything here, but we can see a total of 112 divines. It cost me 6 logbooks, 9 tablets. The tablets are super cheap. These were a budget setup. No Aldur saga was used. Therefore, the total cost was only about 10.3 divines, giving me a profit of roughly 102 divines, which is super, super good considering it doesn't really need that much setup. If I remove the Aldur saga, though, for example, and we put this to 0, my profit was only 72 divines, but I do expect you to get at least one of those high value items in about 30 maps. Maybe not an Aldur saga, but maybe you'll get those 10 divine orb drops. Super, super good. Feel free to pause the video. Let's hop into the new Atlas tree. With this new patch, the Expedition Atlas tree was added, and you will have all of the points if you've completed all 5 bosses. We can see that I have 24 out of 24 because I had already completed all 5 bosses. So if you've already done it, you'll automatically have all of the points. But it added a lot of cool things that really let you juice Expedition as well as Verisium remnants. So the first one is you can add a different Verisium remnant, which is great. Here we have the explosives only wait for 50% of monsters to be slain before continuing. It really just increases the speed of Grand Expeditions because they take very, very long. And that's one of the biggest issues with Expedition and farming it. It's just a very long map. And I mean, even with this farm, I'm still taking 10 to 15 minutes to complete a Grand Expedition, but it's mainly because the monsters will be so juiced. We also have the chance to add an additional Verisium Remnant, and then we have the 25% chance Verisium Remnants count as affected by a power rune. What this means is it will juice the monsters of that Verisium Remnant. I haven't tried quantity of items yet because power rune has just been so strong for me, but this is an extremely important notable because it greatly increases those rewards of those Verisium Remnants. Even if the reward just says a chaos orb, for example, because of this, we're able to get divine orbs and just totally juice them out, giving us tons and tons of loot. The last ones are the chance to add an additional runic modifier. You'll definitely want that because the more modifiers on a rare monster, the better the loot. And then for the last one, this one is totally preference. I have Desert, which gives increased effectiveness based off of the Atlas tree. So if I scroll out, we could see that desert areas give you increased effectiveness of monsters. You could also pick up something like Forest and give it the increased rare monsters. Item rarity, I have the increased effectiveness. That seems to be the best to me. I haven't really tested the other ones too much. I definitely tried out the Forest one, but again, I just like the effectiveness because I'm running a lot of different rare monsters and stuff on my tablets. Now for our Atlas Master, I do recommend Jado. I tried both Jado and Doriani, but Jado's partial translations is just super strong with the tablet setup that we're running with the recent buffs in the patch, as well as I like Unexpected Missions for that additional random modifier, and then Eastern Knowledge is great because there's so many Verisium Remnants already in Grand Expedition, so just having that additional reroll every once in a while is great. The last one is Keen Appraisal because a couple of the exceptional items are worth a decent amount of currency, but this is totally preference. You can put on something else you like. Partial Translations with our tablet setup really juices monsters, making them very, very difficult, so you will need a decent build. However, again, this is a complete budget setup. You don't really need much currency to run it. You just need a logbook, and then the tablet setup is probably 40 to 50 exalts for each tablet, so super, super cheap. I did try Doryani, and this year the modifiers that I would recommend for him. The loot was a little bit worse, but the monsters were much, much easier. So if your build isn't that strong, you can definitely slap on Doryani, give it a run, and you should still be able to get very valuable loot. However, I do have to be completely honest. I've only ran about 4 to 5 grand expeditions with Doryani since the patch. And again, the loot seemed to be a little worse, but enemies were much easier. So give that a try. Let me know in the comments what you guys find. Maybe it's better. I still think Jado's the best. That's what I've been rocking for the Atlas Master. Go with Jado, these 3 required, and then this one is completely optional. As for mapping and where to go on your Atlas tree, if you're unfamiliar with where the expedition area is, it's to the southeast of the Ziggurat Refuge located at the ruins of King's March. You will follow the quest line from Danig where you will complete a couple of the expedition bosses to unlock the entirety of your expedition Atlas tree. If you're completely unfamiliar with expedition, I recommend just following this quest line until starting this farm, but basically the Grand Expedition maps are anything that have the expedition symbol, and these are the maps that we're focusing on. Logbooks open up each subsection of these areas, so if I go here to the Uncharted Waters, there will be different island rumors that will correlate to different things, and these open up new maps along with new Grand Expeditions. The community has created a cheat sheet, and I'm not familiar with who the original one is, but if anyone knows in the comments, feel free to post it and I'll pin your message. But this is the cheat sheet here, and we can see all of the different options for those different rumors. So Fallen Stars gives rune stones, Unknown Ruins gives precursor ley lines, and so on. So you can use this cheat sheet whenever you want when looking at the island rumors. However, what I do for the island rumors is I focus on anything that will just buff the area. So for example, a good fellow correlates to the Moment of Zen map where you get a free unique. I don't care about these. I only care about the ones boxed in red. If you get a boss map, that's great. Olroth is also amazing because he has some great rewards, but I only care about the ones boxed in red. Now that we have the island rumors settled, let's talk about which tablets and waystones to run. So you're just going to want to find a Grand Expedition. I'm just going to run this one, and then these are the tablets that I'm running. We can see I have increased number of rare monsters, as well as the map has increased monster rarity. I also have the suffix unique monsters have 1 additional rare modifier. This does not apply to runic monsters, but I just like to have it for when I'm running those travel maps, since it does apply to normal bosses. But again, that doesn't really matter. The only thing you want to prioritize is the prefixes of increased number of rare monsters and monster rarity. We can see I have this one here, and then this other one I have rare monsters and monster rarity again, and then I have rare monsters and increased effectiveness. But again, you just want it to predominantly have rare monsters and monster rarity. 1 effectiveness, 1 item rarity is totally fine. As for suffixes, you can definitely have that your map has an additional random modifier. These are best in slot, but those tablets are worth anywhere between 10 to 15 divines, and this is a budget farm. This is not something that's going to cost 10 to 15 divines. I like it when it's pure profit. Other than that, you'll want to use 3 irradiated tablets so you can get all of the other different tablets like Delirium and Ritual, which can sell for decent amounts of currency while you're traveling. As for maps, you just want to max out the modifiers and then corrupt it. If it's tier 14, I don't use it. If it's tier 16, great, but it's not really necessary. You can obviously be more efficient and run 8 modded maps, but I don't really care that much. I'm just running them as fast as possible. I don't like crafting maps. It's not fun to me, but just make sure you fill it out, corrupt it, and then throw it in. So let's run this map now. Alright, this isn't a juiced Grand Expedition, this is just a standard one. You can see it was very close to my starting area. So the first thing you want to do is travel around the map and identify all of the high value Verisium remnants. We can see here that this one has that little yellow thing above it on the second thing. Those little yellow or gold lines above them basically mean that they're going to juice the monsters. We can see this one as well has that little yellow line. So I'm just going through and I'm picking them. Even if I don't like the rewards, I'm picking as many that have those yellow lines above them because they will carry forward to the future remnants. So that means that my first couple Verisium remnants aren't going to be as juiced, but the more Verisium remnants that I do that have those little yellow things will mean my modifiers will travel forward to those following Verisium remnants. So this means that I'm going to identify whichever my highest value Verisium remnant is, and I want to make sure that's one of the last explosives because I want that to be fully juiced and as strong as possible so I get the best rewards. So more than likely, this is the best remnant that's in this map, which is totally fine, but I'm going to want to make sure my explosive is one of the last ones is that one. Alright, so I've ran through the entirety of the map. That was the highest value rune shape combination. Now I'm just going to place the explosives to pick up as many of these low level Verisium remnants as possible until I get to that high value one. So I'm just picking all of these up, as you can see, and I'm picking up those chests, any of those markers as well, anything that's of high value, because the chest can also give you divines. So there, this is the highest one, and we can see it's only explosive 9, but that's totally fine, and I picked up a decent amount of Verisium remnants, so it will be quite juiced. Alright, so I'm just going to keep traveling. There's a little marker. Chests, it's good. It doesn't have to be perfect as well. A lot of people will waste their time trying to be perfect. The more you waste your time, the less loot you're getting. Okay, and this was the second best one, which is totally fine, so this one will be pretty good as well. So now you're just going to travel to the beginning, and you're just going to start the explosives, and you're just going to run it per normal. The first few Verisium remnants are going to be very, very easy with the monsters not having that many modifiers, so they're going to die super quick. You can see that I'm just kind of killing them in one shot. But as we go on and on, they're going to get more and more tanky, much more stronger. It's going to take me a little bit of time. In total, along with placing the explosives, these maps take typically 10 to 15 minutes for me, sometimes taking a little bit longer if it's a super, super juicy runestone combination. Alright, so 2 Chaos Orbs, nothing crazy. Didn't pick the best map here with the temporal chains, but it's all good. Alright, 3 and 4. See, 1 divine from a 4 combination, and that's because it was buffed. So just because you're not getting those high value combinations does not mean you're not going to get tinks. We can saw I already got 1 tink, so that's already 1 divine, and we haven't even done the high value one yet, so that's a great example. Got hit by temporal chains, man. I should have paid attention to the map. It's all good. You guys are getting the unedited version. You see the monsters are starting to get a little bit stronger. You can see those modifiers are going up and up. And there goes another divine from a 4 combination. Super easy. So now you can see this is the harder one, and you can start to see that these rare monsters are getting quite tanky. Like, I need to pay attention. Should have picked better modifiers on this map, but it's all good. But as you can see, they're quite tanky. So if your build can't handle it, definitely try Doriani. I noticed that these encounters were much easier when I had Doriani on. This is obviously quite tanked, but they're going to give me good rewards. I'm probably going to get a tink out of this Verisium Remnant, which is what we love. So just got to make sure to not die. And I kind of like it. I like that it's, more difficult, means more rewarding. And I can, tone it down a little bit and it still be rewarding. It's a great farm. I like the changes that they did with Expedition. Freaking minion, dude. Yeah, not the best map because of the modifiers I picked on this map, so could have been much faster, but hey, it's okay. All right. Oh, no tink from that one. All good. But yeah, you pretty much just run it as normal. And again, these monsters get quite tough. So make sure you're running Waystone modifiers that you can handle. If your build can't handle it, again, use Doriani. Try to pick up as many of the chests as you can, because these can also drop, you know, a lot of divines. They're pretty good. I think I've seen some clips of people getting mage bloods from these chests, which is quite crazy. I mean, I hope my luck can turn that way. Haven't farmed it enough, I think, to get a mage blood, but I do like this farm a little bit more than the ritual tablet setup, just because those additional rerolls at this point are getting too expensive as the league progresses. I think they're up to like 35 divines, which is quite insane. All right, and that is the entirety of the map. All right, we didn't get anything from the last Verisium Remnant. All good, no worries. But you can see that it's quite easy to farm. Doesn't take that big of a setup. This wasn't one of my best maps. This is one of the worst maps, but I still got a couple of tinks, which is great. It's a great budget farm, especially if you're chasing that, you know, additional 10 spirit or weapon passives. We can see I got 2 divines here, and then I've also got 11 chaos, a few exalts. So definitely recommend this farm. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. As always, like and subscribe. Take it easy, Exiles.